Like,
Okay, who wants to begin? You were gonna begin, Rosalie.
Right. Mara loved looking at nature. And on the train from Bombay to Quetta, she occupied the window seat. She liked to watch the scenery, the cows, the goats grazing in the fields as the train rolled past. But once, Mara was innocently looking out the window when a station came, and Gustaji, knowing Baba's ways, told her confidentially, "You know, Mara, whenever any man is coming, you mustn't look at his face, look down at his feet." Mara thought that this was something new and peculiar. How will I know it is a man unless I look at his face? She wondered. Since it was not an order from Baba, she did not pay much attention to Gustaji's advice. But perhaps Gustaji knew even then that Baba was particular about Mara. When they arrived in Quetta, Baba asked about their 2-day journey and their health. Their hosts were Gulmai's relatives, Rusi Jahangir Irani and his wife Khorshid. Rusi had arranged for their accommodations in a 2-story rented house next to his own popular restaurant. That's Goher's parents. And bakery on Bruce Road. The women stayed in 2 large rooms on the 2nd floor, the same floor as Baba and the Mandali, but on a different side. Their rooms had no furniture, but the floors had large carpets on which they could spread their beddings. A back entrance was used to go through a lane to Rusi's house nearby. So the many soldiers who frequented Rusi's cafe would not see the women. Once Baba told the women next door to see the Jahangir cafe, but they did not go in because there were too many men inside. The sidebar says after her mother died, Naja had been sent to Quetta to stay with this family for some time. See Appendix B for a family tree displaying how Gulmai, Adi Sr., Small Khorshid, Mehru, Goher, and Padri are related to each other and to Mara. Rusi cooked their meals in his cafe, but was told by Baba to fix only one vegetable for each meal, not a variety. Baba himself served the food in his room, seated on the carpet opposite the entrance in the otherwise unfurnished room. A large, flattish vessel of food will be taken from the fire and placed before him. Then Baba would up the lid with a ladle, calling all. Tap the lid.
Tap the lid, yeah.
Calling all for lunch. Ting tong went the ladle as he banged it on the lid. Once Baba joked, Krishna's brother-in-law, Bhima's ear was as big as this lid. The Mandali came forward one by one and were served first. Next came the women, who would be standing outside the door, as Baba did not like the women to mix with the men. The elders went first, and then Naja and Big Khorshid, followed by Mera, always last, too timid to push herself forward. It went on like this for a few days, and then one day, Baba snatched the plate from Mera's hands and slung it out of the room. It flew across the landing and down the stairs, making a terrific racket. It was good the plate was enamel and didn't break, Mera observed later. But at the time, she was mortified beyond words and stood quaking in front of him. In a loud, harsh voice, Baba demanded, "Why do you come last every day? Why don't you come in time? Every day you are the last one inside." Mehera said nothing. She looked around for another plate so that she could be served and quickly disappear. Her mother, her mother thrust one into her hand and she handed it to Baba, who served her an extra large portion. "Baba, that is too much," she protested. "No," he replied, "eat every bit and don't waste anything. I have given it to you, so you must finish everything on your plate." "It was like a punishment for me," Mehera recalled. Slowly, I finished my lunch, somehow pushing everything down. The following, the following day, Mehera was particular not to come last. She came next to last. At another time, Baba called the women in the morning to receive some fruit as a special prasad. They were instructed to eat all of it because it came from his own hands. The fruit was delicious, especially the grapes, but they were so sweet that the women's throats soon became sore from eating them. They could only finish by standing on the balcony and concentrating on the passing scene rather than their throats. Besides grapes, orchards of plums and peaches abounded in Quetta, quite a contrast from the starkness of Maribon. Each morning, Baba visited with the women after taking a bath at the Mandalis. Baba came to their side early one morning at 8 a.m. and stood at the entrance of their rooms. In her life with Meher Baba, certain moments remained etched in Mehera's memory forever, and this was one of those. Quotes Mehera: "Baba was dressed in a white sadra. His hair was open, loose. Framed in the doorway, Baba looked so beautiful. It was summertime, and Baba came inside the room and sat on the floor with the cushion at his back. He told Gulmai to comb his hair. Usually the other women would not come near them while this was going on. But that day, Baba told the girls, Mehera, Naja, and Big Khorshid, to sit in front of him. Then he asked, "What prayers do you say?" I should say the sidebar. Mehera had also seen Gustaji comb Baba's hair at Barucha building in Bombay. And then Baba asked him, "What prayers do you say?" They replied that they tied the sacred thread each day, reciting the required prayers. "What?" Baba asked with a look of surprise. "That prayer takes less than 3 minutes. All day long, you spend your time reading, sleeping, bathing, talking, and eating, but you give only 2 to 3 minutes a day to remember him. You must pray for at least 7 minutes a day." So Baba says, "Bring your pad and pencils," he instructed. "I will dictate a prayer for you. Take down what I say." "We were happy and excited," Mehera recalled. "Baba was like a schoolmaster teaching us the prayer. He always spoke to us in Gujarati." Each brought a pad and pencil and sat in front of him. Baba dictated a short prayer that the other girls wrote quickly. But although Mehera spoke Gujarati fluently, She had not had practice writing it. Baba corrected Naja and Big Khorshid's pads and then asked for Mehera's. When she handed it to him, he remarked, "You haven't written even 2 lines. Why didn't you take it down?" More words, Tina. Mehera explained that she had been educated in English schools and only had a Gujarati tutor for a short time. Matter of factly, Baba said, "All right, give me your pencil." He himself wrote the entire prayer in his own handwriting on Mehera's pad. And then Mehera responded, "I was very glad I did not know Gujarati." The sidebar says the writing pad with Baba's handwriting was later lost. Wow. Mehera suspected Gulmai, who was fond of preserving Baba's things, of taking it. But Mehera said, "I was 17 and too young and shy to say anything," accuse her at the time. Over the next few days, Baba dictated several more prayers to them, including the 101 Names of God prayer, and explained their meaning. Quotes, "You must know what you are praying to God. You must pray with feeling from your heart, not just with your lips. When you say God's name and pray to him wholeheartedly, concentrate on what you are saying," said Baba. Mehera said, "Baba explained it so beautifully." One day, Baba took the women on an outing. They dressed in fashionable saris and rode in a small car with Rustam, following Baba and the Mandali in a van to a nearby valley with a large range of hills. The van stopped on a deserted road outside of town by a high hill. Baba, who loved climbing, got out of the van with the men. Even though Baba was wearing sandals, he ascended the hill swiftly and with agility. Mehera said he floated up. The Mandalis struggled in the loose rock to follow him. Halfway up the hill, Baba sat and signaled for the Mandali to stop as he would be coming down. He sat still for a moment, and Rusi's brother, a photographer, took a photo of him. After exploring the area, everyone, including the older women, got in the van to go home. But the 3 younger girls did not push themselves forward and were the last ones left on the road. Baba turned to speak with Rustam, and the van started and drove off. Baba told the girls to get in the back seat of the car, and he sat in front with Rustam. This was the first time that Mehera had ridden in a car with Baba. On the way home, Rustam got lost, but the girls did not mind. "We were happy that we got lost with Baba in the car, so they could spend longer in his presence. We enjoyed ourselves. The longer it took us to reach the house, the better." Without even wishing for it, more words. Without wishing for it, we got this treat. Baba spent some time with his host, Rusi Irani, and his family, paying special attention to Rusi's daughters, 8-year-old Goher and 4-year-old Katie, who would both join his ashram later. Mehera remembered seeing them then, but they were too young to remember her. The family had also attended Franey and Rustam's wedding. Baba enjoyed Rusi's company, as he was an amusing fellow who told funny stories and could do magic tricks. Dr. Ghani's brother, Abdur Rahman, was another character. He would sing qawwals so dramatically, waving his arms about and making faces that Mehera and the other girls could not help making fun of him behind his back as he sang. After staying in Quetta for a month, in mid-July 1924, Baba and the men and women went to Karachi, where they stayed for a few days in a two-story bungalow with a smallish compound. The men stayed downstairs in the house and the women upstairs. One day, Baba came to give them prasad. When Baba asked where Mehera was, he was told, quotes, "She's just having her bath," end quotes. And Baba observed, "Everyone has had their bath and she is last. She is always last." He distributed prasad and left before Mehera was finished. When she found out, she felt terrible and never forgot this incident. Never again, she vowed, would she miss the opportunity to be in the beloved's presence. One afternoon, Baba had the whim to play cricket. As their compound was so small, he brought the bat and ball upstairs to the big hall where the women were. The girls went outside on the balcony to write their prayers according to Baba's orders. Quotes, "We would write and then glance up and have a peek at Baba playing cricket. Baba caught us and said, quotes, 'Don't look at me, do your writing work.' Maybe we look too much." Rusi's sister, Pilamai, whom Baba referred to as his spiritual sister, lived in Karachi. Baba once told the women to visit her house, but Mehera did not remember going with them.
Okay, you want to pick up, Eugene?
So that was cool that their prayer work was that they wrote the prayers out.
Yeah.
At the end of July, Baba traveled to Bombay with a few of the Mandali. The women and the remainder of the group arrived a few days later. They stayed again at Irani Mansion, which had been vacated for their arrival and was now big enough for all. Baba and the men occupied the large hall, while the women stayed in the small bedrooms. Mehera told small Khorshid all about their trip. At times, Baba watched them from the doorway and listened to what they were saying. But once, Mehera surreptitiously observed him. On a cupboard in Irani Mansion was a full-length mirror. And the only time Mehera ever saw Baba look into a mirror, except when he was shaving, was when he stood in front of this one for just a second to tidy his mustache. The sidebar says, after Baba dropped the body, for many years, Adi Sr. was the only member of the men Mandali who ever spoke to Mehera directly. Oh, I guess it's referring to what I'm about to read. For example, Adi would come to wish her goodbye before he went to the West on tour. When they had arrived, Mehera had seen Baba embrace and kiss Adi Sr. He was Baba's favorite in those days. Baba loved him very dearly. Since her sister was married to Adi's brother Rustam, Mehera already thought of Adi Sr. as a relative. And seeing how much Baba loved him reinforced her view that Adi was indeed a fine person. This was a lasting impression that was to carry forward even in later years. The older women, Sunamasi, Dalamasi, and Dalatme, were cooking for Baba, but Mehera and Small Khorshid wanted to make him something too. They did not really know much cooking, but they decided to prepare a sweet dish called Doodh Pak Puri, which Mehera had tasted before. I think I know how to make it, she told Khorshid. I've watched my aunt make it. They rolled the puris and fried them, and they came out well. But the milkman had watered the milk, and it would not thicken for the doodh pak, or custard, no matter how much they boiled it. It was getting late, and when Baba started eating dinner, the girls knew they only had a short time before he would be finished. In desperation to thicken the milk, they raised the flame on the stove, but not even that worked. Finally, Mehera said, the only way to make it thick now is to add a bit of semolina, that's cream of wheat. They sprinkled some into the pot. When Baba's plate was brought to the kitchen, they took his tray and put the doodh pak and puris on it. Proudly, they carried it out to him. Baba asked what it was, and they said it was a sweet dish for his dessert. He motioned them to put it down, which they did, and went back to the kitchen. After a minute, they heard Baba asking, who has made this dessert? What is this they have cooked for me? Anxiously, the elders asked them, what did you cook for Baba? Doodh pak puris, they replied. This information was conveyed to Baba, who said, call them. Mehera and Khorshid went before Baba. They had been so happy and proud at first. Now they stood with their heads hanging down like two culprits. Pointing to the tray, Baba asked, what is this? Baba, it is doodh pak puri. Mehera replied, doodh pak puri? Have you ever eaten doodh pak puri in your life? You call this doodh pak puri? This is not doodh pak puri. This is katji, gruel for a sick man. I am not sick. My stomach is not upset. Have you ever made doodh pak puri before? This is the first time, they confessed. Mehera recalled, we felt so crestfallen and shy in front of the mandali seated around Baba. We had thought Baba would be happy with it. They explained about the milk not getting thick, and Baba said, now, don't worry. I've tasted a little of it. Never mind. Forget about it. After they left, Baba tasted a bit more, and then he ate all the puris, which had come out well. Later, Baba called the four girls, Mehera, Small Khorshid, Naja, and Big Khorshid, to the hall. As if to make amends, he told them each to take a cold drink from the hamper that was kept there. They each chose one, but when they opened their drinks, the carbonation was so strong that it fizzed on the floor. They had no glasses, so they demurely turned their backs to the mandali and quickly put the bottles to their lips, trying to drink down the bubbles without making a mess. Mehera suddenly found the whole situation with the doodh pak puri and now the fizzing drinks very humorous. She started laughing, and when she tried to stifle it, swallowed wrongly on the bubbles and started coughing and choking.
Oh, no.
Baba asked what was the matter, and when Mehera managed to tell him, he told the girls to go to the kitchen and finish their drinks there, which they were glad to do. Teen, could you read that sidebar because it's cut off for me?
Oh, yes. Soft drink bottles in those days did not have metal caps. Instead, they were fitted with a glass marble on top. The drink had to be opened by smacking the marble so that it dislodged from the top and fell into the
Wow.
bottle. Oh, well, what if you smashed it and the glass went into the drink?
You bought another one.
Yeah, I guess so. I'll continue. Soon after, he came to the kitchen and asked, "Do you know how to make potato patties?" "No, Baba," they said. "Tomorrow I will teach you. Keep boiled potatoes ready and peel some garlic." He gave them a list of other ingredients. Mara and Khorshid were thrilled. Baba was going to give them a cooking lesson. The next morning, they skinned and boiled the potatoes. When everything was ready, they sent word to Baba. He came and told them to chop the garlic, coriander leaves, onions, and chilies. Mash the potatoes in a bowl. Mix everything up, he said. Then he formed the preparation into patties on a wooden cutting board and rolled them in breadcrumbs, indicating how thick the patties should be. He was quite the chef. After he made one, he told them to do the rest, fry them, send them with his usual lunch of rice and dal. They did, and Baba ate them and said later he liked them very much. Gradually, Baba was drawing Mara closer by encouraging her to overcome her natural shyness and reserve and to relax in his company, to assume her role among the women Mandali. Since Baba had once again stated upon leaving Meherabad that he would never return, all of their belongings were stored. Padri and Nervous had been sent to Sakori with the horse, Sufi, the ox saint, and to offer them to Upasni Maharaj. After transporting the animals on a freight train from Ahmednagar to Chitali, they had to walk the last 9 miles. Oh my. They had to pull the animals, who kicked and bit the entire way. Both beasts seemed determined not to go to Sakori. Moreover, when they arrived, Maharaj was equally determined not to accept them. Even cursed Padri, who had gone through the most with Sufi, for bringing them. So they had to take the animals back to Ahmednagar, where Padri left them with Gulmai's nephew, Sarosh, at Kushru quarters. Padri was very disheartened and more than a little angry about this, but when he told Baba about it, Baba laughed heartily. The white horse represented Baba's link with Mara, and both he and Maharaj knew that her destiny was not at Sakori, but at Meherabad. Baba said to keep the white horse at Kushru quarters for the time being and let Gulmai use it to pull her carriage. After a few days in Bombay, Baba decided to leave on an extensive tour throughout India, with only a few of the Mandali for an indefinite period. All of the other men and women were sent back to their homes except for Daulat Mai and Mera, who had irrevocably left theirs to join Meher Baba permanently. They were told to stay with Rustam and Frani in Kushru quarters, where small Khorshid could also join them until Baba returned. It would be months before they saw Baba again. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, that picture is so beautiful. Yeah, I thought it was Mara's favorite.
Rosalie, would you like to pick up with this new chapter?
Yeah. Songs at Sunrise. Kushru Quarters was the joint family residence, not only of Gulmai's family, but also of her sister-in-law's extended family, which included Sarosh, who was still unmarried. Most of Gulmai's relatives were against Meher Baba, so we never mixed with them, said Mehera. We were quite by ourselves. Rustam, Franey, and baby Melu were living in 2 rooms there. Daulat Mai was given a small room with a bed, a small table, a wooden clothes horse, and an attached bathing room. Mehera shared a room with small Khorshid and Dolly, one of Gulmai's daughters, who was 13. Their room had no furniture, and they slept on straw sadri mats on the floor, with only a thin mattress and 1 sheet to cover themselves. Gulmai's family wouldn't go out of their way to give us 2 nicely furnished rooms, Mehera noted, but added, Baba probably told them to give us these rooms. The girls continued to wear their cotton saris and matu banus. Sometimes they sat together in the cool shade of the trees behind their room. Dolly was with Mehera and Khorshid constantly, but Gulmai's other daughter, Pirozha, 16, was not as friendly with the girls. No one else was allowed to visit. And the sidebar says, Rustam and Franey's rooms at Kushru Quarters, Meher Nazar, were the ones in the northwest corner where Adi Sr. lived later. Daulat Mai occupied the room immediately in front of these, and Mehera and small Khorshid stayed in the room next to her. Okay. Daulat Mai and Mehera did not have to do any cooking at Kushru Quarters. A cook was employed for them. They ate at the main dining table after Gulmai's family had finished. Adi Sr. had been instructed by Baba to see to Daulat Mai and Mehera's needs. At one time, Baba even considered keeping the women permanently at Kushru Quarters, with Adi in charge of their welfare. Quotes, at the time, I could talk to Mehera, Adi recalled. She was like my relative, and we were all young. But later, Baba would say to me that besides not seeing Mehera's face, don't even think about her. Adi like women. Meanwhile, Baba was on a harrowing journey throughout India by train and foot, during which he was frequently ill, and most of the time in an irascible mood. When Adi Sr. arrived in Bhopal, pleading with Baba to return to Meherabad, he seemingly relented, but the next day changed his plans again. It would be another month of touring from place to place, contacting and bowing down at the feet of sadhus before Baba returned to Bombay in mid-September 1924. During the next 3 months, Baba traveled back and forth between Bombay and Ahmednagar. When he was at Meherabad, Vishnu would cycle to Kushru Quarters. Shri Master is at Arangavan. He would inform the women, if you want to come for darshan, you may. They would change and go in their private tangas. Gulmai would take her tanga, and the girls would go with Daulat Mai and hers, pulled by Sufi, the white horse still being kept in the stable at Kushra quarters. The road to Meherabad at that time was rough and unpaved, and the landscape was desolate. The Tonga jolted them back and forth for 5 miles, and it took a long time to get there. But Mera recalled, we were very happy, and everything seemed beautiful as we were going for Baba's darshan. As they neared Meherabad, they would lean out of the Tonga in expectation, looking towards the veranda of the post office. They would see Baba standing on the edge of the broad veranda, looking towards the road. He was dressed in a white sadra with his hair loose. He looked so tiny from far away. He looked so sweet waiting. We would say to each other, oh, my Baba is always waiting for us. Then he would take a turn around the building and again come back and stand on the edge of the veranda. When they arrived, Baba would usually be seated cross-legged on a small cotton carpet on the veranda. He would permit them to bow down and touch his feet. Quote, sweet touch one foot if only one leg was extended. If both feet were out, then that was even better as we could touch both, end quote. One after another, they would go in the post office. The elders, Gulmai and Dalatmai, would talk to Baba, while Mera, Small Khorshid, and Dali sat to one side. One day, Baba asked the girls, what do you do all day long? They replied, we keep busy sewing our own clothes. We stitch a bit, read a bit, and at night play the gramophone. Sometimes Khorshid tells us stories of Manzilimin. Baba said, that's fine, but for half an hour you must meditate. He went on to explain, take any picture, either of Zoroaster or of me, and think of the photo continuously. If your mind wanders or if you get tired or distracted, don't worry. Again, bring it back. Look at my photograph. The girls began this practice every day. In this way, Baba gave us the idea that by concentrating on his photo, you can keep your mind where it has to be. Besides the half-hour meditation, Baba gave them orders to write the word Yezdan, the Zoroastrian name of God, over and over in tiny letters for 1 hour each day. They were to repeat the name to themselves as they wrote it, so that their minds would be occupied in repeating God's name for Baba. We were so happy and proud of ourselves that Baba had told us to do this. We felt very important to be obeying his orders and to repeat God's name. Pads and pencils were ordered from the bazaar, so as not to disturb each other. Each girl sat on the cotton carpet in a separate corner of their room without moving for 1 hour. They did the meditation and writing seriously and conscientiously. When they went back to Meherabad the next time, Baba asked how they liked doing it, and they said they enjoyed it. Once, while returning from Meherabad, Vishnu was sitting in front of the Tonga with Mera and Khorshid in the back. They had been asked to drop a bedding roll at the train station for someone who was leaving. Mera had her feet on top of the bedding, and as she leaned over the side of the Tonga to clear her throat, the white horse jerked and she fell out. How ironic, she thought. Never when riding the white horse had she fallen, and here, while it was pulling the tonga, she had. She was unhurt, though, being young, and she dusted herself off and got back in, careful now to hold on tight. In addition to the meditation and writing, Baba also gave the women another activity to occupy their time at Kushru quarters, stitching shirts for the poor of Arangawan village. He specified that the shirts or parents should not have collars. They were to be long sleeve with a rounded neck and a single button at the top. Dalit Mai was told to buy unbleached almond-colored khadi, strong muslin, from the bazaar. Seated on a large carpet, she cut out patterns of various sizes for the children, and the girls stitched them at the 3 sewing machines that were placed in the corners of the room. The neck was sewn by hand, as well as a loop for the buttonhole and the top button. We had to make the buttons ourselves by rolling up the cloth and stitching it. A strict regime was followed each day. They were to get up in the morning at a certain time, bathe, write Yazdan, do an hour of sewing, and an hour of meditation before lunch. And more sewing occupied their afternoons. They were instructed not to mix with anyone else at Kushru quarters. So they stayed in their rooms, working the whole day. In any case, they had no time to waste in visiting. They wanted to sew as many shirts as they could so that Baba would be pleased. While sewing, they talked of Baba and sometimes sang his arti and other songs. Mehera did not like the stitching as Mehera did not like the stitching as much as she did the writing, though she did not like her handwriting. She found the repetition of God's name soothing and peaceful. Another pastime she enjoyed was drawing and painting. She was quite artistic. A few years before, when she was 14, she had drawn some of Shakespeare's women characters and later showed the accomplished sketches to Baba. So one day, after she had finished writing Yazdan, she thought of drawing Baba's profile. I drew it from memory. I was scared to draw Baba because if I spoiled his picture, it wouldn't look nice. Under the profile, she drew a crescent moon and on it inscribed, "The beautiful, beloved Meher." The next time Baba called the women to Meherabad, he asked them, how many shirts have you finished? They replied, almost 20. Only 20? I want more. That is not enough. There are so many in the village. When they returned home, the girls raced each other to stitch more. Around this time, Rusi and his family came from Quetta for a visit and stayed at Kushru quarters. You want me to read that sidebar?
Oh, I don't see a sidebar.
Well, now
Oh,
it's there.
on the previous page? Okay.
Yeah, only one other definite time did Mehera ever draw a picture of Meher Baba, although she may have done a few other sketches as well.
I'd like to see that sketch.
Oh, it's in the green book.
Oh,
It's in there.
Mehera? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see. They stayed at Kushru quarters. Goher's first memory of Mehera was of her and Dalit Mai sewing shirts for the villagers. Mehera was very beautiful. Little Goher wanted to help. So Dalit Mai gave the 9-year-old the buttons to sew by hand. When they went to see Baba again, he asked about the shirts, and they said they had completed 50 or 60. Baba said that he wanted still more. So again, they went back. The next time they reported 100 shirts ready. Baba said, yes, that is enough. Dalit Mai bundled the shirts, and they were placed in a bullock cart along with some prasad of a traditional Indian snack, puffed rice mixed with baked peanuts and chickpeas, which would be dry and not messy. This was taken to Meherabad one morning for Baba to distribute to the villagers in what was called, quotes, poor program, end quotes. When the women arrived in Meherabad that afternoon, Baba was on the post office veranda singing bhajans with a few villagers and playing the drum. He motioned to the women to wait, and they sat down until he was finished. His hair was open and his shirt had fallen over his shoulder, remembered Mehera. He looked lovely. Baba used to sing Tukaram's bhajan so well. His pronunciation of Marathi was so clear and his voice was so beautiful that the local villagers were drawn to him. If one heard Baba sing, one would leave what one was doing just to hear him. As he sang, he swayed with feeling to the music. Sometimes he accompanied himself on a small brass bell. At other times, he played the drum while those in the crowd played bells. Sometimes Baba sang Qawwali songs accompanied by Adi Sr. on the sitar. He sang with all his heart. The song, the music, the tune, the words were so important to him. He loved music. He loved singing. I remember his voice and his way of singing. There is no voice like his. After the music, the distribution program began. Gustaji and Masaji opened the bundles of shirts while Padri opened the gunny sacks of prasad. And the sidebar says others concurred. Adi Senior's first cousin, Parviz Irani of Nasik, heard Baba sing at this time. He remembered Baba had a very good singing voice, like a flute. It was very moving to listen to. Anyway, after the music, the distribution program began. Gustaji and Masaji opened the bundles of shirts while Padre opened the gunny sacks of his, that thing keeps coming in black.
I'm sorry. I didn't know what. It's so easy to pull these things.
Foul play.
Yeah.
Padre opened the gunny sacks of prasad. Baba beckoned first to a 3-year-old boy sitting on his mother's lap. The child was shy, but the mother pushed him forward. Baba gave him a little shirt and put some prasad in the middle on top of the shirt. The child happily sat back on his mother's lap and began eating the prasad. Every mother and child received a shirt and prasad. And then the older boys were called, and finally the men. Baba would be so liberal with the prasad, dishing it out by the handful, that it would spill out of the cloth and onto the ground, said Mehera. When Baba gave, he gave abundantly. When the time came for the villagers to leave, they shouted, Sadhguru Meher Baba ki jai, and went down the road toward the village, laughing and shouting merrily. Baba turned to Dalit Mai and remarked, see how happy they are. Don't you feel happy? Yes, Baba, Dalit Mai replied. I feel happy when I see others happy, said Baba, especially these poor people. Then he told the women that they should pack up their belongings at Khushru quarters and be ready to move to Meherabad shortly.
Okay. Do you want to read the sidebar?
Yeah. Later, when the Westerners came to Nasik in 1937, Baba explained that when he, with his own hands, gives food and clothing to the poor, the result is much greater than the individual gift, because the whole world gains in economic and spiritual welfare, besides the recipient having the prasad, blessings of the master, and consequent spiritual benefit.
Okay. Eugene, do you want to pick up?
Well, we certainly benefit, don't we? I mean, we have so much food.
Yeah.
Small Khorshid told Mehra that since they are moving to Meherabad, we must renounce all comforts and lead a simple life. We must live like fakirs. What shall we do? Mehra asked innocently. In order not to give our heads comfort, we should not use pillows. We must sleep with our heads on the hard ground. Now, who's telling them to do that? Small Khorshid. Okay. So at Khushru quarters, they began sleeping without a pillow on straw mats on the stone floor. Mehra did not mind. I slept well, so it didn't matter. They decided to go barefoot also, as they had done in Sakori. Even during cold weather, Maharaj did not like the girls wearing chappals, sandals, and they walked barefoot everywhere. We all had a period of barefootedness too back in 1969, and Marvin too. How about you, Rosalie? Did you have a barefoot period?
No, only when I took my. No, I didn't. But I always check my shoes for scorpions. That I did.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. After another trip to Bombay, Baba called Dalit Mai, Mehra, and Small Khorshid to Meherabad in mid-October, along with, from Pune, Dalamasi, Naja, and Big Khorshid. The two girls moved to Meherabad with their bedding rolls, but without any pillows. When the women arrived, Baba was on the veranda of the post office, and he told them to go inside and unpack. They would be living there while he and the three other men slept outside. They were just about to untie their bedding when Baba came inside and asked, "Have you brought good bedding? Let me see how much you have brought. You must keep good health here and not be cold and fall ill. Have you each brought a blanket?" They said yes and opened their beddings. Baba inspected everyone's, and noticing that two did not have pillows, he asked, "Whose bedding is this?" It was Mehra's, and that one, Khorshid's. "Where are your pillows?" "We don't use pillows," Khorshid explained. "Why not?" Mehra felt embarrassed. What could she say? What could we say? That we wanted to live like fakirs? It was very awkward. Baba looked surprised and displeased. He asked why they were looking at each other. Sheepishly, Khorshid said, "Baba, we thought we could do without pillows. That's such a strange word, sheepishly, sheepish. Really maligning sheep, No, you must use pillows. And where are your chapals? We thought we should walk barefoot as we did in Sakori, Korshed said. This is not Sakori. Here you must wear sandals. You have to wear warm things and do everything I say. Otherwise, go back to Ahmednagar. No, Baba, Korshed said. Whatever you say, we will obey. We have no doctors here. You must keep well and work hard. That is doing service. Sleeping without pillows is not going to make you any more spiritual, or make you have more love for God. That was the end of Korshed's speech. That evening, Baba sent someone to Ahmednagar to bring 2 cotton pillows, so Mehera and Korshed slept with pillows that very night. It was nice after a long time to sleep on that soft pillow, Mehera said. Baba made us appreciate it, and we learned that Baba was very practical. He did not want us to indulge in all that nonsense. If Baba tells you to do without something, it is different from doing it on your own. For the rest of their lives, no matter where they were, Mehera and Korshed were particular to use a pillow every night. After 4 or 5 days, Baba did give them a direct order not to read or write. Mehera had brought some of her favorite books with her, David Copperfield, Ivanhoe, and Shakespeare for children. And in the evenings, while Baba was with the men, she had been reading from them to the other girls, her main motive being to improve their rudimentary English. But when she heard Baba's order, she stopped. The next time her sister Franny visited when they were alone, Mehera quickly wrapped the books in a thin towel and gave them to her to take back to Ahmednagar. Baba had vacated the post office room to accommodate the women, and he slept on the veranda with Gustaji, Masaji, and Padri. During the day, the beddings were rolled up and placed on top of their trunks against the wall of the veranda. Can you imagine? The God-man gave us his room, Mehera recalled. Now, when I come to think of these things, I think of Baba in the night when I am meditating, and all these details come to mind. He was giving and all these details came to mind. He was giving of himself so much. At night, when I think of how he used to sleep outside with no mosquito net, I shed tears. It was so chilly and cold in November. Well, probably there were no mosquitoes then either. He was not comfortable on the veranda. Baba must not have slept well. Now I feel bad that we never had the idea that Baba is the king of kings, sleeping in the cold on a thin mattress with no mosquito net. Snakes might come, scorpions too. Sometimes Masaji, this is a sidebar, felt the heat of Baba's anger, since he would fight and argue with Baba. Is there one that's higher?
Yeah, there's another one above it.
Yeah, that's the one. Mehera thought that Baba was stung once by a scorpion on the post office veranda while he was sleeping outside.
Wow.
Women slept on mattresses on on straw mats on the stone floor of the post office, but they too did not use mosquito nets. And Mehera, however, did not remember ever being troubled by mosquitoes there. Well, that's the wonderful thing about New York too. When it's winter, mosquitoes go away.
Right.
Good place to stop, huh? It's 5 after 3 Eastern Standard.
Yeah, I think we need to stop. What page was that? That was
Habla.
134. Did we get to the bottom of it?
Okay.
Nearly.
Okay. 134 then. I'll see you both next week, I hope.
Oh,
Thanks
yeah,
for coming.
I love Mehera-Meher.
Yeah, thanks for coming. It's good.
Yeah,
Baba.
very good. Jay
No,
Baba.
remember everyone pillows tonight. Pillows.
Pillows, yeah.
I have 4 of
Okay.
them.
Yeah, I have a bunch too.
I discarded one at a time.
Right.
Goodnight, everybody. I'll see you later.
See you, T.